Hey guys, it's Delora Davils here, and tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. This is not a cult book review, this is actually fiction, and it is The Dark Wind by Tony Hillerman. And we're not really even going to be discussing this book in particular, I want to talk about the entire series. Tony Hillerman wrote 18 novels before he passed away, but his daughter Anne Hillerman has picked up the series, and she churns out about a book every year and a half or so. And I did read the first one, Spider-Woman's Daughter, and it's pretty darn good. We'll get into more of her later. Right now, we're just going to focus on Tony Hillerman and why I've chosen to talk about him in particular. There is a show premiering on AMC called The Dark Wind, and it's about this novel. And I am fairly certain that they're going to just name the series after this book, because I watched the trailer like at least a dozen times now, and I can pinpoint things that happen in this book as well as the books that happen in the series around this book, because this book is number 5. I actually numbered them because there's so many and they don't have a number on them. This series is often called the Joe Leaphorn and Jim Chi series. Sometimes it's called the Navajo Tribal Detective series. Sometimes it's just called the Tony Hillerman Detective series. There really isn't an exact name for the series that Tony Hillerman came up with. It just is the series. I believe on Goodreads it's called the Leaphorn and Chi series. So Lieutenant Leaphorn is the older detective and Jim Chi is the younger detective, and Jim Chi gets introduced I think in the 4th book or this book, but I'll read the back of this book for you real fast so you guys kind of know what the first season, or at least the first few episodes of the new season, is going to be about. A corpse whose palms and soles have been scalped is only the first in a series of disturbing clues. An airplane's mysterious crash in the nighttime desert, a bizarre attack on a windmill, a vanishing shipment of cocaine. Sergeant Jim Chi of the Navajo Tribal Police is trapped in the deadly web of a cunningly spun plot driven by Navajo sorcery and white man's greed. Okay, this is one of my favorite ones. They actually made a TV show of this in the early 90s, and it's very strange and very cool, and yes, I actually paid to watch it. I bought it, I think, off of Amazon Prime or something. It was like $2.99 or something. But it's really, really good. And anywho, the movie, the 1992 or 1993 movie, is really cool because you can tell that they actually filmed everything out on a reservation, most likely the Four Corners area. They actually have a lot of older people, because Sergeant Jim Chi goes out and interviews people for clues, right? He's a detective. You can tell that they actually pulled locals in. They're actually speaking Navajo, and it's really cool because one of the women in the movie that is featured, that plays a character that's telling Jim Chi some of the tea, she's working on a really nice traditional Navajo tapestry, and I just loved looking at her loom setup and pausing the movie and like being like, oh, that's so cool. Anyway, I digress. The only thing about this movie is that with the cinematic music, they went a little too Navajo flutes, and so it was kind of strange because it would be like a really tense moment in the movie, but then it would be these really cool flutes going on, and it would kind of ease the tension sometimes. I don't know if they did that on purpose or not, but it's a lot of flutes. It's a lot of traditional music. There were 3 more movies made by PBS. And in the first one, they made Lieutenant Leaphorn look like an asshole. And Tony Hillerman got really, really pissed at them for making Joe Leaphorn look like a douchebag, and he's not. And then in the second and third one, Okay, and also the first one that PBS did was not at all accurate to the story at all. The second one was much closer to the novel. I mean, almost exactly like the novel. The third one only deviated a little bit. And I believe the third one that they did, I'm not going to spoil anything, okay? Because you can tell exactly what novels they are. I forgot to write down exactly which ones they were. But it's been a minute since I watched them. But yeah, I enjoyed the PBS movies a lot, and they're actually free on YouTube, so you can watch all three of those. If you like detective novels, not everyone likes detective novels. I'm not a big detective novel reader, but I eat the hell out of these novels. And it was funny, I was in a resale shop with a friend of mine, and we were with her kids, and I went up there. It was the haunted bookstore here in downtown Mobile. And I went upstairs and I was like, do y'all have any Tony Hillerman novels? And they did. They had really nice hard copies. And I'd never seen these in hard copies. They're always in the dime backs, right? And so that was really nice. I have some cute hard copies now. And I was like, man, you know, I wish I could find all of these novels. And I was like, I'm an adult now. I'm an adult now. I can go get all of these novels. Because when I first read all of these, not all of them, I read probably about 5 or 6 of these novels. Of the 18 that he made, I only read about 5 or 6. And I'm rereading them. I think I'm on the 4th to last. So like number 14 or 15 right now. And I'm really, really enjoying it, but I'm really sad to see my stack dwindle down. I'm going to have to read more of Anne Hillerman's works. And bringing it up to Anne Hillerman, a lot of people who loved Tony Hillerman do not like Anne Hillerman. I think some of it has to do with that Tony Hillerman's target demographic was mostly male, and we know how readers can be very sexist. So male authors usually use female pen names when they write romance. Female authors usually use gender neutral anytime they write anything. J.K. Rowling, gender neutral, right? And so I think that they don't like it because it's a woman. The other reason why I think they don't like it is because she almost kills Lieutenant Leaphorn, and you don't know to the very end of the book whether he makes it or not, but he has a stroke fairly early on in the first book, which is The Spider-Woman's Daughter. I like Anne Hillerman. Her writing style is not far from her father's writing style, and as whenever you research anything about Tony Hillerman, because of the PBS movies, especially that first one that came out, I believe it was Skinwalkers, they made Lieutenant Leaphorn into a character that he absolutely was not, and it really made Tony Hillerman resent that character in some ways, and he really thought about killing off Lieutenant Leaphorn much earlier on in the series. So, like, he literally thought about doing that in the late 90s. So, it is interesting. Yes. But I believe that she probably toyed around with killing Leaphorn because her and her dad talk. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know that she is privy to information that fans would never have. She's literally his daughter. She's going to do right by the series, and it is just as much her birthright as it is his legacy. She's his daughter, and I am 100% all for Anne Hillerman, and I can't wait to finish this series so I can start reading the others. What I really like about Spider-Woman's Daughter is that she revisits a novel that he wrote pretty early on in the series. I think it was the 6th or 7th, because the PBS movies, I think it was the last one or the second to last one that they made, because they only made 3, actually covers it. Actually, you know what? I think it's the second one, but it's the one about the archaeological pots, and are they real and are they not? And you don't know the person who done it. You don't know if his girlfriend or slash love interest was involved or not. And Tony Hillerman never says if she is or isn't. And so that character comes back in Spider-Woman's daughter, and you're like, is it her? Is it not her? What's going on here? And yeah, and then it also draws implications. It's like, was she involved in that earlier case way back when, or was she not? And so it was very, very cleverly done, and I think it was a beautiful way to do a debut book reintroducing herself as the author continuing this series. Anyway, I could gab on and on about this, but I'm very excited for the AMC show, The Dark Wind. And yeah, let's get into the title before I let you guys go. So and these books have a lot of Navajo culture in the Four Corners area reservation. You've got the Hopis and the Navajo on the same big old swath of reservation. They're not very far from each other, so you do get a little bit of an idea of Hopi spirituality and kind of how they do things versus how the Navajos do things, and they are vastly different from each other, which causes conflicts between characters in the story throughout the series. And there are one of my favorite side characters is Cowboy Dashie, and he's a Hopi, and he's one of Jim Chee's very good friends. So he pops up throughout the series, and their relationship is very funny because they make fun of each other all the time. And in that banter, you actually learn a lot about the cultural clashes that happen sometimes. Anyway, it's brilliant. So the Dark Wind, in Navajo traditional spirituality, you have a wind inside of you, right? And whenever you die and you breathe out your last breath, that is your wind leaving you. And whenever someone goes crazy or does a lot of criminal activities, they are not believed to be an evil person, right? They're just believed to be sick and they need to be healed. They have a dark wind blowing through them, right? And so I thought that was extremely clever, and I'm really glad that the series named itself after this particular book, because this one was super action-packed and I really liked it. And also there's a DEA agent that thinks that because Jim Chee was the first person on the scene of that plane crash and the cocaine was stolen off that plane, he thinks that Jim Chee stole the cocaine. But what you don't realize is that the DEA agent wants the cocaine for himself. And it is absolutely redonkulous. He actually is a really bad character. He is a straight up villain, but he's not whodunit, but he's still a villain. And I thought that was very interesting. You don't often see detective novels where there is such a villain that's not the whodunit, Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Like I said, I don't read a ton of detective novels, but these certainly captured my attention. The first book that I read by Tony Hillerman was Skinwalker, because as a 12 or 13-year-old girl, I was at Goodwill and I saw it and I was like, gotta have it, just the cover and everything and all of that. So super, super cool. I really liked it. I hope that maybe this will get you guys to maybe try an audiobook. There are audiobooks available on Audible and from your public libraries of these novels. Not all of them are available in audiobook format, but they do read pretty quickly, because I'll tell you what, I read these before I go to bed at night, and sometimes the sun comes up and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta close this book, I gotta turn off my nightlight, I gotta go to sleep, because I will literally read it for hours and hours and not realize where the time went. And if you guys share similar tastes as me, maybe you guys will like this series. Again, if you don't know anything about Navajo culture, you're also going to learn a lot about it while reading these novels. Tony Hillerman grew up very close to the Navajo reservations, and the only schools available in his area were Navajo tribal schools. So he grew up in and around the reservation, and he was awarded the Navajo Tribe Special Friend Award. So I feel like if they were willing to do that because of the way that he portrayed them in here, then they must be happy with the way that he wrote everything. And he does not pull any punches when it comes to how Native and Indigenous peoples have been treated in this country. And it's very in your face. So, and I love that about it too. Anyway, I digress. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like for me to pull out a fiction book every now and then, or a series, and tell you guys what I think about it, hit like on this particular video so that I know. And if you've read Tony Hillerman novels, definitely let me know in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about them, good or bad. I absolutely adore this series, and I hope that if you try it, you will adore it too. And anyway, until next time, happy reading, happy dabbling, and bye-bye.